Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's webinar. This week, we will be focusing on reports, the wonderful world of Aerotrac reports. There's a lot to sort of dive into. I'm going to try and be a little bit slow than my usual delivery. But obviously, if you have any questions, my colleague Warwick is in the chat. So if you do have anything, please feel free to put it in there and we will do our best to answer before the end of the webinar, or we will follow it up afterwards with yourselves. Like I said, today's topic is reports. If you didn't know who I am Michael Waker. I am one of the customer account managers here, and I will be taking today's webinar. Usual stuff, if that's okay. If you are obviously in the lobby, if you could please mute your microphone, that would be absolutely brilliant. And please also turn off your video feed. Not that we don't want to see your beautiful faces, it's just an internet bandwidth thing. Some people's internet is not as great as others, mine included, and it can slow it down for other people. So if you cannot do that, that'd be great. And like I said, please use the chat function if you do have any questions. My colleague or my beautiful assistant, I shouldn't call him that, my beautiful colleague Warren is in the chat. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in there. So the aim of today is to get an overview of what reports are available and how to customize and suit them to your requirements. So we're going to have a little run through Aerotrac, look at the key reporting function and some of the other functions in terms of reports that are available throughout the system that can be useful for different roles. Okay, so we'll be looking at finance, materials, stuff like that. Not in detail, just to let you know where they are. Okay. Part of that is in terms of the objectives is understanding reports. Seems quite self-explanatory, but there's a lot to it. Manipulating the filter functionality, very important. Establishing report requirements and where to find them. Running your favorite reports and the difference between summary and in-depth reporting. Yeah, interesting. Right, I will head on to the actual demo and show off my Aerotrac data. As you can see, I've logged into the main menu. I'm going to start with general reports function, okay? Pretty self-explanatory, it's right here. So reports is always found at the bottom of your drop-down menu, whether that be in the Aerotrac module or in the administrator module. They are both in the same location in terms of the drop-down menu. So if I am to click on this, it should take you straight through to the reports section. Now, there's a lot here, okay? One thing I will say is if you haven't added any favorites, which we'll get onto later on, it will normally default you straight to the All tab, which I appreciate can be slightly overwhelming. You can see here there are a number of reports that are within Aerotrac. Because Aerotrac is essentially a huge Microsoft Access database, there's a lot of data in there. And so we just tried to make as many reports as sort of possible that actually sort of suit each person's requirements. It's worth noting from a historical point of view, when we first started the software over 25 years ago and created report functionality, we sort of had an idea of what reports people would like, but a lot of the reports in this that can be quite niche or in general have actually come from your customer requests. A lot of them have just come from you guys saying, we want to have a look at data on this. Is there a way we can do the report? And obviously it's kind of grown out since then, hence why there are so many. You can see a couple of little normal things. Report codes on the left-hand side. These are based upon the acronym at the start is obviously based upon which module it sits in. So is it an admin one? Is it a mats is materials? Com is commercial, so on and so forth. Okay. So they're good use for shortcuts and report codes. So if you have an Aerotrac person on site and they start saying, oh, I'm going to look at MATS 003, or have you looked at MATS 003, what they're referring to is the report code of the actual report that they're trying to run for you or that they would recommend that you have a look at. Okay. First things first, then, we'll go into the all side here, but at the top, you can also see that these have been tabulated. Again, these are by the report codes. What we've done essentially is tabulated all the reports out and categorized them into where we think they are best suited. So, for example, if you are working in the material sector, the likelihood is that you'll be wanting to look at the MATS ones and maybe commercial. These tabs, in terms of what you see, are dictated by your permissions within Aerotrac. So if there's a report you would like to see that you haven't had access to, it is worth contacting your Aerotrac administrator or super user and asking them, do I have access to commercial reports? Do I have access to this, that, and the other? Okay. We'll start with the all one though, because that's the best one to go through, because there's a lot to pick from. As with all things Aerotrac, there is a search functionality. As you can see, as I said here, there's over, I think there's almost 200 reports that you can look at in here, and there's a lot to get through. So if you are new to them and you're just having a little look around, even if you can't find them in your tabulated area, the best thing to do, as with all things in Aerotrac, is click on the little question mark box down here next to system user list. Sorry, it doesn't affect the system user list. You just click on that. And as the golden rule, which we covered in the general navigation video of Aerotrac and the one that's on our YouTube website, go visit it. We could do the views. Actually, it's going quite well. You hit the asterisk button and then type in a word that you're looking for. So for me, I'm going to look at purchase because let's just say, for example, I'm in the procurement department. I want to look at purchase orders. Aerotrac will then, using that asterisk, pick any single report that has the word purchase in it, either in the title or in the description. So I used Matso 0003 as an example earlier. That's the one I'm going to use now. Okay. So if we open that up, what we can then do is it'll take you straight to it here. Now, before we kind of get stuck into actually how to run the reports and this, that, and the other, a really, really useful function, which I would suggest you all use, especially if you have common reports that you need to send on to management or that as a manager you need to look at yourself and run, would be to add them to your favorites. So it's very, very simple. You would literally click on the report that you would like, click the button here down, add to your favorites. Once you add it, you'll get a little star next to it, and you can also see that it's been ticked here. In terms of what that actually does for you, when you next log in, this is my personal favorite. You can see here it's already under the favorites tab now, whereas before it was empty. But if you were to go back to all, then you're messing about with another report. When you click exit, and then the next time you log into Aerotrac or the next time you log into your reports and you want to have a look at them, if you click it, it automatically defaults you back to your favorites report page. So you don't have to go through the previous process and start looking and searching for everything. It's already all there and ready to use. Okay. So I've added the MATS 0003 functionality in this one. And we'll use that one as a kind of basis to go for today, mainly because materials is my bag and I'm used to using it. So if you were to, let's just run this report. Actually, this might not be a good idea because there's going to be a fair bit. I'm going to take the gamble and preview the report. There's lots of buttons down here at the bottom. Okay, actually, it's not too bad. There's only 88 pages and it did it quite quickly. Result. What you can see is down here there are a numerous load of buttons that you can press for the functionality. Sending an email will do what it says on the tin. It will send it an email, usually to yourself in a CSV format. What you would then do is you can export it to Excel. So it's kind of, you can export all the raw data in an Excel format. You can export it to CSV. Well, it's the same thing, but in the CSV format. You can preview the report, which is now turned up on my other screen. And so I just preview that report there. And it gives you almost like a summary one. I don't want to say it's a sexier version, but essentially is what it is. It's meant to be a kind of more printable. It's not just raw data. There's some method to the madness within it. Okay. And as you can see here, you can skip through all of them and whiz through your pages. And at the moment, it's literally just got a list of every single purchase order that has been raised on Aerotrac. Okay. Like throughout time. And then obviously you can print the reports if you wanted to go straight to printing it or print and save it as a PDF. You can do it that way as well by clicking the print report button down the bottom. Yeah. If you do it as an export in Excel, it just generates an Excel or a CSV document down the bottom for you to open up. Okay. So that's great. But what if you want to look at not every single purchase order that's ever been raised? What if you only want to look at ones that are outstanding? That's where the filter functionality comes in. Okay. So Aerotrac, in terms of the reporting, a lot of what you can do is based upon these filters. Unfortunately, there is no way currently of pre-saving these filters into Aerotrac. So, for example, if you just wanted to save a report and say, actually, I want to look at all the outstanding orders this month, unfortunately, you would have to kind of go into Aerotrac reports, go to this filter section, and then follow what I'm about to show you. Okay, that may well be changing in future Aerotrac versions. Okay, so don't panic. I'll touch a little bit on that at the end of this. I think it's a worthwhile piece mentioning. Pardon me. So the filtering, you can see here, there are as many options in terms of the filters as there are in terms of the reports, and that's essentially because this is the data tables that are shown when you do the export to CSV and export to Excel. So going back to what we previously did, the preview report is good because it's a summary piece and it gives you a lot of basic summary data. The CSV and Excel reports are a little more in depth in the sense that they just give you all the data. They don't filter really any of it out in terms of viewing. They will just give you all the data in terms of all the tables, which is really, really good if you're looking to provide an in-depth report, but it obviously can be a little bit difficult to then work through, filtering stuff out, deleting columns, etc. So what that's to say, for example, I'm in the materials department, I'm in the procurement department, and I would like to look at all the outstanding orders. Okay. Best way to do that then is by using my knowledge of Aerotrac to get actually, you know what, if it's come in, it'll have been GRN'd in. It'll have a goods received note, and therefore that means that I've received it. Yeah. You'll see up the top here, there's 3 different tabs on the filter itself. You can have match specific data, searching, and between. We'll go for each one of them, but match specific data is probably the easiest one to use in the sense of if you know exactly what it is that you're looking for, you would just like to match the specific data to it. And then what Aerotrac will do is it'll essentially put a filter into it and then include all the information from that filter. So because I want to show everything that doesn't have a GRN, what you do is you go to this button here, you can see here there's an equal, a not, a less than, greater than, equal to, or less than, and equal to, or greater than. So glad I nailed that. So you can use all of this functionality down here to kind of dictate it. So for example, if you did GRN date, you could say, you know what, I want to look at everything that was either on or before, and then you would put in whatever date you want. So I want to look at everything that was either in or before the 25th of April 2023, because that's a year ago. And if I preview the report, basically that will say, is there anything that was on order that hasn't been GRN'd before that date? See what I mean? So it's sorry, it will just show you all the purchase orders that have been GRN'd before that date. If I wanted to look at stuff that hadn't been GRN'd, the best way to do that would then be equals, and as long as you don't put anything in there, you will see the Aerotrac automatically goes nothing. So therefore, what it will do now is it will try and show me a report of every single purchase order that has not had a GR or a line on a purchase order that hasn't had a GRN raised against it. Therefore, it's all the outstanding orders. Make sense? No one can tell me if it does or doesn't because, yeah, but that's how it makes sense. Okay, so that's what it would look like in terms of a general summary report. As you can see, it's not too bad. I've knocked off 77 pages, which is pretty good. And that was only as a preview report. If I were then export it to Excel, I'll literally just put it in my documents for the time being. And then it will be available for me to then go and have a look at. It'll be in my document somewhere. Okay, it's asking to define a field model. That's fine. That's it. It's because there's a lot of data to run when you're doing the Excel, because like I said, it's doing every single field, right? But essentially that is the essence of it. Okay. That's essentially how you find your outstanding purchase orders and the GRNs and whatnot that were before it. So I hope that side of things makes sense. And that's, like I said, when you're just using the match specific data. If you were to then go to search, what you'll see is you'll have the same um, you have the same setup here in terms of all the fields that are available. What you should really be able to do is, I believe, just be able to search it here, and then if you were to just go, trying to think of like a part or something, maybe packing, something like that. Oh no, so that's the GRN date. So you do have to isolate which one it is. So what you can do is actually supply a short name, but you couldn't remember the name of the supplier. I would put it in as big because then we have, like, I think it's big executive jets or something we have on here. There you go. So what it's done is it's gone and found ones from big jets. So that's better if you don't know the specific data that you're looking for and you're just trying to find a generic bit of data. Very similar to that function, but you can just do it within these here, within each line. Yeah. So quite handy if you're kind of new and you kind of know about, but you don't know the ins and outs of them. Not a bad one to use. And the between function is good for in terms of ranges. So again, this is if I was to go to GRN date, show me everything that has been booked in this year between the 1st of January and the 25th of April, which is today. And then I'm hoping we'll have done it because this is the demo data, so I can't guarantee that we have. There you go. We brought in 2 parts in that time, but that's the idea. So again, the in between function is good, especially if you're doing annual reports. That's the one that you want to be using. Yeah. There's also down the bottom here, you can filter it by different things. So if you're looking from a financial point of view, you can filter it by your actual financial period, which is again handy if you're looking for, okay, well, what stocks come in. If I was looking at a financial summary here, for example, if I was to look at a margin report, I want to look at what the margin report would be between, like I said, so you can have the data, how many have I closed this month? In terms of the profit margin, how much have I done with this? The best thing to do with reports, not be funny, is have a play around with it, and then you'll find the ones that will suit you and that you would quite like, really, and that you'll be using your day to day or week to week basis. So yeah, it all just filters everything out. The email functionality, like I said, if you were to send that to you, it does what most systems on Aerotrac do. It literally will just email to your Outlook account and sort of set up a draft email in there that has a CSV report in there for yourself. Okay, very, very similar to the way that sending purchase orders, sales orders, forecasts, all that sort of thing happens as well. Speaking of forecasts and whatnot, the status board itself is actually essentially reports, but in a much more what's the word I'm looking for? But in a much more kind of like user-friendly manner, if you like, or in a more presentable manner. So we've obviously added in a few light bits here and there. This essentially, the aircraft event that's due now and whatnot is based off of off the aircraft forecast report that you run upon each aircraft. Same as it is with demand. This here demand is essentially outstanding orders or outstanding parts that need to be ordered, which in itself is another report. Stock is the safety shortage report. So there are numerous reports that are kind of fundamentally built into Aerotrac anyway. And you'll see actually even though they have their own report code, there are some reports that are actually physically just built into Aerotrac that aren't actually on the report screen because they're usually a little bit more niche and they have a specific use, if you know what I mean, that you wouldn't really want to be filtering out. So, for example, I believe I'm hoping it's in this one. If not, it's in the administrator section. So, if you were to run here, this report here, the stock valuation report, I believe is I think it's been 39, I want to say. So this one here, this is another valuation report. So what you can do is you can literally look at your data selection now. I want to look at all. What it does, it just it shows you the value of reports. If I want to look at everything In here, I'll go all warehouses, all areas, but I want to see the total value of what my stock type is, new, of my new stock, and see what it is. And here you go. It prints out. And like I said, this is a good summary report. If you want to look a bit more in depth, you'd export the report out and it would give it to you in an which I might try in a second. Hopefully, it doesn't crash my PC. Because, like I said, there's a lot of data in here. You can see, again, that this is literally just a FIN39 report, which I believe is actually, yeah, you can just see it down the bottom there. You might not be able to because I'm sharing. But you can see it's got a FIN39 summary. So each one of these has a little reference to it. So if you do hear someone saying FIN39 and you can't find it on the report function, honestly, the best way to do it is to literally just ask what's it called and where can you find it. There aren't many of them. They're very, like I said, they're very few and far between, but there are a few that only certain people should really be able to sort of have a look at, if you know what I mean. And this is probably one of them because the financial side of people, well, the financial group would want to be taking a look at this. I want to export that report. Let's go to my documents and see if it goes into there. File exported successfully. So hang on a minute. If I just bring that up over here. There we go. I'm just going to open it up so you can have a look. And there you go. So this is an example of what an Aerotrac report would look like via CSV format. And you can see it looks very different to the summary report because all of this has actually been built out of, this is just the raw data, essentially in an Aerotrac format for a number of filters that were already predetermined in the FIN39 area. But as you can see, if you were trying to, if management or that want or yourself wanted to have an in-depth look, this is the way to do it. Okay. Off of that, and actually, I'll open up the purchase orders one I showed you earlier as well because I did actually. Oh, I've removed it. That's annoying. I've accidentally removed it myself, which is not great. Bear with me 2 seconds. So if I pop back to that, there's the valuation report back again. One last one that I think I might try and show you all. Again, this is maybe more of a finance thing, but it's a good example of how a lot of Aerotrac processes are based off of the reports and some of the functionality that you get. So the period end routine within the finance sector, within the financial team, is essentially based upon reports. All these reports are stuff that you would actually go through and check. And as you can see here, there's the report codes. So you would run all of these before you were to do or close off your period end, because what you want to be doing is you want to be going, right, okay, I want to look at all the parts that have been received, not invoice, and go, why would they not be in there? And it automatically lets you preview it from there. I believe some of these are available on the actual reports menu, but obviously they're in a much more handy place because we've got some stuff here back here from like 2018 that needs a bit of a cleanse. Can you tell? But then that's at the end of 2021-04. So that's the last time that we closed off the period for that part. So if I was to go to, well, if I was to go to this one, you can also see here it's gone. It's not got status printed, so it was previously done then, but it hasn't been done since. So if I was to go to that, and not that much more has been added to it. But this is what I mean is that these are essentially, and there you go, it's made it. I know that I've done it. These are really, really handy tools to be able to do it. I suppose the last thing I would like to kind of touch on from a reporting function is, as I've shown you in here, the reports function within Aerotrac is great in terms of it can give you all the data that you want and you can manipulate it however you like. It's all there. How you represent it is completely down to what it is that you're looking for and how you utilize the functionality that we've gone through today to provide it. Going forward, I'm sure we probably mentioned it in previous webinars and probably with previous chats you've had with Aerotrac is something called the AWI, which is the Aerotrac web interface. That essentially is going to be a new front end to Aerotrac in a web-based format. And with that comes the ability to do a lot more in terms of reporting, because essentially the front end is just looking back at the database and then interpreting data however you would like to see fit. So I think what we're looking at doing is obviously taking a lot of kind of feedback in from people in terms of what they would like to see. I believe there's going to be things that we can do in terms of offering out KPI reports for a reduced fee. If there are reports that you guys would like to do, one of the things that I would suggest, so if there are any reports specifically that aren't real on Aerotrac that you yourselves would like to have a look at, get in touch with your customer account manager, whether that's myself or one of the other members of the team or the support guys, and just ask the question. There's no reason we can't have a look into it. We appreciate that that's pretty much how we actually got a lot of these reports in the first place, was through customer feedback. So we are more than open to listening to that. And again, that could be something that helps us feed into the AWI. And it's something that we can obviously negotiate depending on how much work is required to then create that report. Okay. On the AWI front, there will be, like I said, a lot of additional functionality, especially with in terms of the reporting. So that's why I said earlier about having pre-filtered reports ready. I believe the AWI is probably going to be fundamental in doing that. That's why we're looking at trying to get ideas for KPI reports that a lot of customers would like. So when you're having your customer account reviews or your management having customer account reviews with your customer account manager from Aerotrac, do make sure that they're aware of it. Do ask them the question, because we are always happy to listen to any feedback and any ideas on how we can improve the system and improve your experience of the software. This company was essentially built on listening to its customers, and that isn't going to change. So what I would say really is a bit of a short one today, but that is essentially what the reports is. The best thing I can suggest to you, I could sit here with on blue in the face and tell you what reports I like, what we could suggest, this, that, and the other, but ultimately it is very much a personal preference choice and up to you guys in terms of what you do with them. Because every role is different, every company works things slightly differently, and everyone has their own personal favorites that they quite like. So I wouldn't. My suggestion at the end of the day, and hopefully the takeaway from it, is to go and have a look at the reports function. Look at what ones you've got available. If there are ones that you think that you need to have a look at, go and talk to your super user about permissions and see if you can get access to some other ones. If you have any ideas, please just get in touch with your Aerotrac representative, whether that be your customer account manager or the support team. And yeah, just it's been it's been quick but enjoyable. And I hope obviously that this has proved useful for you guys. If it has, then do leave us a comment. This will go up on our YouTube channel, which we are, like I said at the start, trying to promote a bit more. So all the other webinars are available on there. There will be future webinars going forward as well, which are currently in discussion. But for me and the Aerotrac team, I'd like to thank you all, obviously, for taking part in these webinars, and I hope that they are provided useful. And obviously, if you have ideas for ones that we could do in the future, your feedback is really, really appreciated. Thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your week. And I'm sure we will see each other again very soon. Thank you very much. Cheers.